Let's go over some creative ideas to keep your dynasty fun, interesting, and refreshing. So if you anything like me, you might be at the point where your dynasty getting a little bit stale. You think about restarting a new one. We got some ideas for you, man. Got some ideas for starting a new dynasty, and also some ideas to keep the old one a little bit more refreshing. One thing I want this to be, drop down in the comments any ideas y'all have, man. We are a community. We are a unit here. Let's help each other out. Y'all may drop something that might help me out, keep my dynasty fun. So let's bounce ideas off each other down there in the comment section. So I think this is a great time to start a new dynasty when you consider that the player upgrades that came out recently, man. A lot of players got upgraded, even for my Temple Owls here, man. The kicker right here went up. A lot of players went up in overall, and I bring up Temple because they're a smaller group of 5 school, and then also you got a lot of Power 5 schools. Their players got upgraded, downgraded. A lot of abilities changed as well, man. A lot of abilities got changed for this past update that came out last week. So if you think about restarting, this is a great time when you consider that you'll have these players with the new update, their new overall. So just one thing to keep in mind. Honestly, it's probably way too many players to even cover that got changed. But like for example, I look at LSU and the running back Caden, his overall went up around 10. He's all the way up to an 85. This is a true freshman, super fun player to use in a dynasty, 95 speed, and it's a lot of situations like that where just player overalls got changed that you might not even have noticed, and you go look at that roster, that overall is in a better spot. All right, so we got the Temple Dynasty going in the background. Make sure y'all check out that series, having a lot of fun with it. But let's get into pretty much some creative examples that I came up with to make your dynasty fun, especially when you consider starting a new dynasty here. And the first one is, why not give a school the death penalty? And it don't have to be, a Michigan situation. I bring up Michigan just because they're going through that, whole situation that happened a couple years ago with their, assistant coach, whatever. But it could be a school like Duke University. You want to go be the head coach at Duke University, but give them the death penalty. And a death penalty could look like in this game, you force them to lose every single game for 3 years in a row. You put auto recruiting on. If I know anything about auto recruiting, when you're the head coach and you put that setting on, it is horrible for me. Like every single time we bring in damn near the worst recruiting class in the nation. So do that for 3, maybe 4 years, and by the time you actually take over the program and start playing games, your roster is not in a good spot. It is, a solid program with solid school grades overall, but the roster is going to be in a bad spot. Every single player that was on the roster would have either graduated or transferred out at that point. And now your goal is to rebuild. But you have the death penalty still, a part of the program, so maybe you can't recruit out your prestige rank. So, you're probably going to drop down to a 1 or 2 star prestige. Well, guess what? You can only recruit 1 or 2 star players until you get up into, that higher prestige. Maybe dropping the program down to a different conference. Maybe you go down to the MAC and you got to earn your way back to, the conference, the ACC or whatever. Different things like that just to keep it refreshing, creative, and make it more of a challenge, man. Make it more of a challenge is one thing that makes this game super fun. So, I go out my way to make this game challenging. Next idea, maybe take a 1-star program and drop them in the SEC. Not realistic at all, but we're not here to be realistic all the time, man. Sometimes we just want a fun experience. And that would certainly be challenging. Drop them in the SEC every week. You have a tough game as a 1-star program. You might go 0-12 your first 2 years. But when you do finally start winning, it's going to be that much more rewarding. And also, throw more challenges on it. Maybe you could only recruit your prestige rank, or you could only recruit local guys, or you could only do this, you could only do that, whatever. Just make the whole process more challenging. And it might take you 10 years to actually win a national championship, 7 years to actually win that national championship, especially if you're playing on Heisman instead of some people are in year 10 and they want 7 national championships. At that point, in my opinion, at least think about making a new dynasty and going out your way to put some of these restrictions on yourself or on your team. And on that same topic of conferences, why not rebuild the Pac-12? I know in 2026 there are supposed to be 8 teams going to the Pac-12. Well, you could do that right now. You could drop them teams in there right now, maybe add a few more to make it 12 in total. or you could change it up, do whatever you want with the Pac-12. Another idea on that same conference thing that's a little bit more crazy is the whole idea of the super conference. You know, you could do it however you want, but maybe you put all the 4- and 5-star schools in one conference or 2 conferences and just make sure they all play each other. And you drop all the other teams to either independent or you put them in, you know, the smaller conferences. Whatever you do just to create that super league. And then maybe when the school do, you know, go up to a 4-star program, you promote them to that conference. And when another team drop out that 4-star prestige, you drop that team out, you know, somewhere in that promotion and retention range. You know, just doing different things to make it fun. Not create storylines that the game does not have. Like, one thing that happens in real life with recruiting, and then also just football in general, is like transfer portal. The transfer portal is insane in real life right now. It needs to be regulated a little bit, in my opinion, and also with like the NIL deals and how players are flipping schools just for the bag. I don't blame them, but it's a real thing in college football. In the game, it is not in here whatsoever. After the first couple years, you know, after you have winning seasons, players will not transfer out. In real life, every single year, top players are transferring out. Every single year, players are leaving Alabama, Georgia, even the small schools are getting, you know, players to transfer out, looking for better opportunities. But in the game, we just do not get that. So one thing I'll do is create my own storyline. For example, if I feel the need to bench my starting quarterback because he's not playing well enough, well, I might want to force him to transfer out just to create a storyline. And like I said, it might sound crazy. I totally get it. It is, a little bit. But we crazy here, man. We nerding out. But, you know, force my quarterback to transfer out if we bench him and, you know, we go with another starter, because that likely what will happen in real life. That players think he's good enough to start. If he's not starting no more, he's going to transfer out. Even backups, you know, a lot of backups feel like they're good enough to start, so they're going to transfer out. So, you know, just adding that element to the game, storylines, you know, especially with some of your key players, you know, yeah, you might be losing your top player at quarterback, but if he's not starting no more, if he's not playing up to his potential, force him to transfer, bench him, you know, do different things like that, man. In my Temple rebuild, I make sure every year we recruit a couple guys from Philadelphia. I don't care if they 1 stars, 2 stars, whatever. We gotta recruit a couple guys from Philadelphia because we Temple, man. We Temple tough. We gotta get a couple people from the city on our team every single year, man. I'm from Philly. I'm the head coach. We got to keep that culture going. So that's what I'm doing personally with my rebuild. So another idea I thought of is, you know, if y'all know anything about college football and Clemson and Dabo Swinney, who is the head coach, he does not do things traditional. Like with that program, he will not take transfers. If you are committed to Clemson and you want to go on a visit for another school, he will not allow that. But he also do not allow committed players to come to a visit to his school. So just a lot more strict. And I appreciate that. I appreciate that. Doing things his way. But I think about what is the equivalent of that in college football? How do we add that concept to college football? And what I thought of is this concept where you only recruit guys that's interested in your school. You don't accept transfers also, but if you have no 5 stars interested in you, you can't pursue any 5 stars. You can't try to sway any players to come into your school. They have to already be in your top 10, and then you could pursue them. And like I said, no transfers. And then also, if any player want to transfer out, you can't try to persuade them to stay with the school. If they want to go to the NFL, you got to just let them go. You know, different things like that. You know, it don't have to be to that extent. You could take it even further. But that's one idea I thought of that I might do. So one thing a lot of us do is create our own head coach, but I don't think a lot of us create our own playbook. And why not? Like, let's create an offensive playbook. And we're at the point of the year where why not get weird with it? Why not get a little bit crazy? One idea I thought of is, you know, combining the flex bone and then also, let's say, Tennessee super widespread playbook, and, you know, combining them two where, you know, it's just insane matchups, you know, or it could be, you know, something totally different, you know. Just doing different things like that to keep it fun, interesting. Last rebuild idea I really want to do is probably with Maryland. Probably starting with Maryland, and I only want to recruit in the DMV. So only recruit in the DMV and see what we could do. Like, see if we could only bring in home state products and see if we go out there and win a national championship. You know, obviously with the DMV, there's a little bit more states, so you're able to bring in, you know, a lot more players. But maybe you could do that with Texas, or you could for sure do that with Texas. Only recruit with Texas and, you know, probably bring in a pretty good class every year. But maybe even a smaller state, like, you know, Alabama, you know, Louisiana, you know, see what you can do with that. Have some fun with it. Get creative, man. If y'all like this style of content, make sure y'all like, comment, subscribe, man. Like I said, go down below and let's have a discussion about it, man. Let's help each other out. Let's bounce ideas off each other. But other than that, I appreciate y'all for watching. We on to the next one.